Yo, what is good, everybody? I hope you all had a successful first trading day of 2023. If you took that oil short with me that I mentioned yesterday in my video, you definitely did. So we got a couple things to talk about today. Oil, natural gas, bio. Everything's at kind of an interesting spot here, pivotal areas. So make sure to watch this whole video through. I got some important information for you guys. So with all that being said, we're just gonna get into it. Make sure to show the video some love, give it a like and subscribe, and let's get into it. So to start off, we're going to start off with oil. I'm not really covering Bitcoin anymore just because it is absolutely just completely flatlining. It's dead. Inflows are completely gone, so until it actually does something, we might come back to it. But now we're going to start off with oil. Yesterday, I was talking with a friend. We were planning on shorting at 81.50, and it actually topped at 81.50 on the dot. You can see up here that high is 81.50. It touched it on the dot, and it just went down from there. Now, I was planning on shorting there, but I didn't because I thought it could maybe overshoot that and go higher, which is what I was talking about in that video. But that's where it topped. This is how I got that measurement from 2, 3, 4, and that gives you that fifth wave target, 6.618. Now, kind of have to be aware of these specific rules. This has to do with Elliott wave theory, but if this is a wedge, you know you got your wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 has to be shorter than 3, so it's a little tricky here. This is kind of a confusing spot because this could actually be some kind of consolidation move here, where you bounce up. You know, you hit this support here. Today I closed my short at 76.60, so really good exit, especially considering if that's the bottom here. We're gonna zoom into the short time frame so you can see the shorter time frame wave counts and how those are kind of biased to the upside for a bounce soon as well. So what I'm trying to say here is I closed my short out. I had a long position. It actually opened up. I forget where I opened it. It was more of a hedge for my long position because there was still that chance we could actually make a new high and that we were still in some sort of fifth wave, which it would have looked like this. So, and that would have been a massive move. So, you know, I kind of had to just be careful there. My long position was smaller than my short position, so I made much more in that short position. And I also took that long position much lower than where I took the short position, so everything balanced out pretty well the way I was hoping in terms of managing my risk as best I could. So we're going to zoom into the shorter time frame, and then we're going to move on to natural gas. So here, you know, there's a couple possibilities here. I was considering this may have been a wedge, but in a wedge, wave 4 has to overlap with the bottom of wave 1, and that did not happen, so it's a very tricky spot. I was also considering maybe this. Wave 5 is pretty short, and that looks exactly like this bigger count that I just showed you, but that's kind of unlikely too, just because you usually see a lot of symmetry within the waves in a wave structure, so this just kind of looks odd. And then I was also targeting maybe we move to 75.60. And now that looks out at the picture because it took a little too long for it to drop. And that now if we get there, like you can see for yourself, that's just a really long wave. So it just doesn't look right. And I'm getting that target from the 100% extension so that it's equal with this wave. But you need that symmetry. So because it didn't happen back here, it's looking unlikely for that to happen. So it's kind of interesting here because now this may be wave 4, wave 3 may not be over, and we're going to get a wave 4 bounce, and then into 5. So oil is kind of a tricky spot. I want more structure to work with, which we will have tomorrow. But now something important to note is that we're sitting on this support line right here, if you can see this. Definitely a big spot. Let me make that a little more clear. So we're holding that while we actually had a double bottom off of that, which is pretty clean. So I think the one thing you really need to watch is this trend line, see if it holds, breaks not, and especially a break above 77.30. I think that could kind of give you a pivot to the upside, and especially if you break 78, that low 78 area, you could definitely get a move higher. So for now, I'm just kind of being patient. I have a long position, and I will probably add if we do go low, but for the time being, I'm biased for a bounce. You got the indicator kind of showing you that we need some relief. We're going to curl at least a little bit, so we'll see where it is tomorrow. it's at an interesting spot. So on to natural gas. This thing is absurd. It's being manipulated so hard. There's someone is keeping this down with like everything they have, like everything they have in their power to do, to be able to keep this down. It's broken every single support. You can see all of these lines that I drew. It has broken every single one of them. There's like 9 supports here, and it barely even bounces off of them. I'm just gonna zoom in here so you can see the interactions with these lines here. You can see it gets these like bounces off of them and then just plummets every single time. So, and I've also deleted a bunch of them. So, this is insane. It's been falling for 11 days straight, just gaps down every single morning. Which is another reason I do think this is being manipulated, because it doesn't really fall during the day. You have these like volume spikes coming in at these bottoms, which is usually a pretty good indication that something is bottoming or peaking from like capitulation, short covering, or a lot of selling pressure. You see those really harsh reactions when you like around bottoms and making a bottom, and it's done that several times recently, and it's not validating these bottoms. So you're in this wedge structure. I would like to say that it should reverse soon, but with what it's been doing, I'm not really comfortable saying that, even though it really should reverse soon. Now, the level I'm watching lower here is around 350. I gotta get rid of this stuff so you can see this line. So this line right here, I would be really, really surprised if we break under this at this rate. I mean, we've been falling non-stop for 11 days, so we're just gonna kind of have to see how it does tomorrow. In the short term, it's on a very crucial support trend line and a steep one, so it's really unlikely to break. It's been drifting down it all day. As you can see, this is one of them here, and then this one starting back from that bottom. So it's been drifting down these all day. I would like to say it should bounce, but I don't know. We'll have to see what it does tomorrow. See how it interacts with especially these lines right here, and if it's going to break out to the upside or not. So onto the DXY, we got the double bottom we talked about in yesterday's video. Now you got a pretty strong region of sellers here. You can see a lot of congestion here, and then rejections here, and we got rejected today. So right now, the one thing you're going to need to be watching is whichever side it breaks out on, you should see continuation. So above, the 104s, and below the 103, 40ish, 50ish. So I don't know how long this could stay in the range for. We'll just have to watch and see. Apple, very interesting spot. I've been saying I'm biased to the upside, and I still am, because today we actually validated these divergences even more here. You got the MACD making higher lows, size curling too, and even on the 4 hour as well. You got the MACD trying to cross over, curling a little bit, RSI doing the same thing. Well, that price is making that lower low. And I believe there's divergence on the 1 hour, curling as well. Just, it's more important on the higher time frames, which is why I like seeing that on the 4 hour and 2 hours. So Apple, you got some gap to the downside still at 120 and 112ish, so that could be incentive to move to the downside, but you got gap to the upside. You oversold on the daily, and you have a very tiny divergence on the daily as well on the RSI, if you can see that here. So I think it's going to need to process. The momentum hasn't shifted yet on the daily, and that's when you really see those like turning of the macro structure. So I would like to see this curl a bit at least before really just kind of feeling confident of continuation to the upside for a really decent move. I do think this region in the 140s can get tested, just because of I think liquidity needs to get tested in that region. So got a gap there too, gap here, rid of that support. So we'll see what it does over the next few days. I'm looking for a bounce soon, but like Tesla, natural gas, if it breaks this kind of support, it's gonna drop really, really, really fast. And we've been seeing that kind of a lot recently, actually. So we'll have to see, but it's likely to get that bounce off of this line. We'll just have to see what it does tomorrow. Tesla, another down day. I've been saying this thing needs to bounce soon, but you really, really do need to be patient with this, because it's a falling knife. It's been falling non-stop, but it's gonna bounce at some point. and I think it has its best chances these low 100s here. 101. I've been talking about 101 for a very, very, very long time here. Um, if you break this region, up next is 101, and that's where we've been moving to. You got a gap at 94, and you also, that's the bottom or the top of this volume gap. So this is really the line in the sand, like 90, 94. If it's under that, the next area is 67. And I feel like this is just falling too much for it to just go straight to 67. And you have the time frame starting to curl a little. You have volume picking up, which you usually see at the bottoms or tops on things. So it's a little interesting. I want to take a look at this. Yeah, MACD crossing over, RSI curling too. You had that lower low form. Now you had that nice move yesterday, or whatever day that was, the last 2 trading days, and you might see a little more of this, but it's a process. With the strength that it's been moving down at, just the rate of it and how steep this drop is, I don't think it's just going to be an instant V turn up. I do think it's going to be a process. You got the 2-hour MACD testing, so be patient with this one if you really do want to go long for a swing trade. But I think if it breaks over that 125 region, you could see some continuation up. You got a gap right here at 140, and I think it's going to have to test all of these resistances. There's a lot of short positions. A lot of short positions are going to want to cover, take profits. It's just a matter of time before we see that bounce. So the line in the sand, I would be astonished if we break underneath this and just go to 66, just because that's not something that happens. Nothing can go down forever. Nothing can go up forever. But I'm still waiting to see some kind of bottoming process and consolidation. So Amazon, not too much to say. We've been watching this channel, waiting for that breakout. So until it gets through this line, that's when we can really start talking. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see once it starts reacting with that line. LabVIEW, we love trading this in the Discord. 660, it's testing this big level here. Also back testing this breakout line. Very interesting spot here. If it holds this, you could test this region again, and this is going to be a lot more sustainable if it wants to test this and tries to break through. This target to 770, 810, and when this is a really good risk reward spot, because 660 and really just, I guess, these lower wicks, you can see that buyers are picking it up right here. You could do something where you go long right above support with a stop loss like 10 cents below, 20 cents below. Just, you don't need to risk that much because the line in the sand is literally right here. So that's just something I would do, not something you have to do, but just really good risk reward at this level here, because if this is the bottom from here, that's 17%, 8, 10, like 20%. So weigh those odds, put the odds in your favor. The dog is barking, I have to pause it quick. So anyway, for what I was saying, good risk reward here. If you decide to do that, it's up to you. I'm not a financial advisor, but tight stop loss, that's really good risk reward. So that's the inverse. We're still watching this, just waiting. XBI doing the same thing, testing that breakout line. So SOXL, this is another one we like to trade. Kind of use this in confluence with LabVIEW, LabD, whichever side you're trading. This is just something that's really fun to trade if you're good at it and you're patient and you can stick to the rules and be disciplined. You can make a lot of money off of this thing. I mean, if it wants to go up and fill this gap, that's it. That's a 17% move. If it wants to fill this one, that's 34%. If it wants to, is there a gap higher? There might be. I think there's one on the main ETF. You got a gap up here. That's over 100%. So this thing moves like crazy. So if you can be patient, stick to your rules, be disciplined, you can make a lot of money off of this thing. So I don't think this thing is ready to just plummet and crash to those new lows. It's really getting picked up in this region here. You can see that it got picked up in this one, but this is a big demand zone. You got a lot of traders just sitting around here trading to the upside and the downside. So if it can hold this level, maybe it fills this gap here, which honestly I kind of expect that to happen. We also have a really tiny one just underneath it that isn't completely filled. You could see a move up, fill this gap. So be on the lookout for this gap fill. It might want to reverse from there. Onto the VIX, not too much to say. These were the lines I pointed out yesterday. Interacting with it today, tried to break out, but it's got this gap. I don't really like seeing these gaps on the VIX and then expect continuation. So it might want to fill this gap first. You still have one down here. We'll just kind of have to see what it does as it moves towards the apex of this triangle. So you got a big breakout coming soon. We're just going to have to wait and see. So on to SPY, last but not least. Short term, I'm going to explain what happened in the short term today. A trade that I did just so you can kind of use it for yourself. This is on ES. Now I was trading SPY but used ES to kind of chart what I was expecting. So you had a clear 5 waves down, and I was like, okay, we're going to bounce soon. And I went heavy in a long position, and I was targeting that bottom region because, I do that wrong. I was targeting this, let me put it up so I can see the level because I kind of forgot it. So yeah, it was 38.20, that 0.618, that was making it equal to wave 1. So this is the symmetry you want to see, which I was kind of explaining on oil here. The waves aren't symmetrical, so that's why it's just a little confusing, you know what I mean? So really symmetrical waves, I was like, okay, we're going to get that bounce in, we're going to get that ABC. I went long at 38.20, so really, really close to the bottom. I didn't use a stop loss because after 5 waves you get a bounce, and the way you get those targets, it usually corrects up to the 50%, at least a 3.82, and the golden pocket sometimes. So my target was 38.50. I sold there because on SPY, this was also another reason for me going long, was we had this really sharp drop in the morning that I expected to get tested for liquidity. So this was another reason I was targeting, and actually the main reason, I actually wasn't even looking at the fib targets. I was mainly looking at this here, and that's exactly what got tested. So I sold, I believe it was on one of these spikes. I think it was the second spike, but it's still moving up. So we'll just have to see where we want to get to tomorrow. But I would like a little more structure to work with. This really long move up is a little confusing. I don't really see too much structure here, so we'll have to see where we want it to stop. Wave 4 is a pivot. I forget about that. You could see some nice movement to the upside. I would like to see some interaction with 38.60 to see what I want to do from there, but it could top here. We'll have to see. Tomorrow should be interesting. We have FOMC minutes. That could give us some movement, some volatility, but we'll have to see. So on to SPY, yesterday I pointed out that big volume gap, something that's really important to be aware of, because this is what's going to be holding us down. For now, I said 386. Where did we reject from? Right at the bottom of that volume pocket here, that where you can see, there's no liquidity in here. There's no buyers or really any sellers in here. It's once you get through this region, you go straight through it. You can see that you go through it very quickly, every single time. So once we get into this sustainably, this wasn't sustainable. This crazy wick up, and or I believe that was like a gap up. Yeah, there was a gap up. This was too parabolic. You could not just go all the way through it. That's like, what is this? $12 move, from 378 to 14, 15. That's not gonna happen. So especially without a catalyst, like you need CPI, that sort of thing. But even then, you need something to really push it all the way through, or a sustainable move up, and that's just, we didn't have that this morning. It was a straight shot up, fake breakout. So again, you're just kind of waiting for this to either get broken into. Now, in yesterday's video, I said I was biased to that upside move, but from the size of the move we had down, I actually do kind of have to retract that statement somewhat. So I do think we're going to get a very decent bounce, but with what happened today, we might actually get one more low, potentially down to the golden pocket, before we get that move up. This is what I've been talking about for a very, very long time. a move down to the golden pocket for that B wave before a C wave to 420, 430 potentially. That would look like this. So go look at my thumbnails. You know, I've made this my thumbnail plenty of times here. So we'll have to see. If you want to do that one more low, now that's what you get after 5 waves. So 5 waves, ABC, and then you have another 5 down. That would probably play out tomorrow. So very interesting spot here. I'm going to be patient. You know, I was bullish, and I still kind of am, but I really do need to see some, well, first off, structure that kind of confirms my bias, and I don't completely have that yet. Now, you had this consolidation here, which you can see on ES, and actually, this is kind of something I wanted to point out, too. Just what happens in a bell curve shaped volume node. So, where is it? There it is. So, I have to zoom out a little more. So, in the center of this volume node here, this is your point of control where the most volume is being traded. And you have traders that take their positions here and they distribute them at the outsides of this region. So they go long here, they sell it right here, they short here, they close their shorts down in the bottom region of this. So you're seeing a lot of distribution in this region from that center, and once you break out to the sides, you see that major pivot in position. So that's kind of what's happening here. It's just waiting for a break out of this region. So to you know, you have this flag here. This is a gigantic one. It's been in this for quite a while. Once it breaks out through one of these sides, the move is going to be very violent because a lot of people have been taking long positions and short positions in this region, and if it doesn't go the right way, they're going to switch sides. If they're going the right way, they might double down. Whichever way it breaks, it's going to be big. So I'm kind of leaning to the downside right now. One more move down before that big move up, but we're just going to have to see. I don't want to take this one prematurely, so we'll see how it goes tomorrow. This is looking like a bear flag. You had those 5 waves down today with 3 up, so that should be a correction before another impulsive move down. So I am biased for one more move down before we get quite a major squeeze to the upside, because that put to call ratio, there's a lot of people shorting, and when too many people are shorting, it's hard to go down. So that's where I'm going to leave this video today. Tomorrow should be interesting. We're going to see how that goes. Make sure to join the Discord so you can be up to date with everything in real time. And yeah, peace out, guys.